One of my Facebook friends sent me this, and I think that it's important to talk about, especially with this economy. And I know that we have a mixture of women's ages in this network. So let's have this conversation. This was posted in the Gen X Women subreddit. This woman says, keep your retirement away from your husband's crypto fantasies. Now, this is something that I haven't talked about, I don't think. So let's go ahead and join this conversation. This is an edit. We're going to start there. She says, since I've now had to say this 3 times, this is not about scammers. This is about the sales of crypto investment through legitimate retirement accounts by brokerages themselves. So brokerages are selling crypto. So she's like, warning, warning. Okay, let's look at it. She says, we're about to see retirement accounts open to crypto investing. If you have a husband or father and he in any way resembles a normal man, expect him to find this at least mildly attractive and worth experimenting with. It goes without saying that neither of these people should be fooling with your money and that you should have and be managing your own accounts. If they're torpedoing themselves financially will affect you, though, you need to talk with them now and make it clear that you will not be their last resort after they've done this to themselves. You will not bail them out, and they will need to pay attention to their accounts and actively avoid investing in crypto, since there will be an explosion of autopilot investment products that package and include crypto investment. A lot of Gen X and Boomer men are going to wind up swindled with no time left for making it up. I expect we'll see municipalities, school districts, and pension funds getting into trouble with this stuff if they haven't gotten strong state laws forbidding it. Strap up. ETA. Well, this is depressing. I went looking for an accessible explainer video so that people who don't know the differences between crypto and governmentally controlled national currencies could learn. And the internet's awash in conspiracy theory videos about how the Fed's a vicious plan to control you and how you can break free with crypto. I mean, predictably, but it is making simple, accurate explainer videos for non-nerds hard to find. So we do need to know and understand that this is about to happen, because some of these people who are, the supposed leaders and the logical ones might get sucked in, but you need to protect your own retirement. You need to protect your own finances. And some women get to a point where they don't want to look at these things. They don't want to know anything about the finances and the bills, but that will jack you up later on in life. Especially, keep this in mind, women typically outlive men. So please be aware of what is going on with your finances, your retirement, your bills, what's coming in, what's going out. Be aware, and be aware of what is going on in the trends and in the news. The Dixco Bunny says, my husband is in finance, a tech analyst, and he won't touch crypto, not even a little. If anyone wants to see these stories of how I lost my savings and how do I tell my wife, just go to the crypto subs. It's scary stuff. Separate Project says, the smartest tech guys I know won't touch crypto. They were also years in front of anyone else I know enforcing privacy issues with social media. I'm talking pre-2003. Meanwhile, my first college boyfriend, who's gone through several bankruptcies, is all about crypto. Jen There Done That says, my ex seemed like the smartest person I'd ever known. After we split up, he invested in crypto and lost everything. He was set for life before he invested. He became depressed afterwards and stopped communicating. We were friends for years after we split, until he lost all his money. I worry about him so much. I wish I knew how to get in touch with him again. He came from generational wealth, so I assume he's okay financially. I worry more about his mental well-being. And then Minted Navy at the bottom says, I feel like this path is very similar to those who fall prey to conspiracy theories. It's super sad, and I hope you find a way to reach him and help him to facilitate a sound path forward. I think that woman at the bottom is right, that some people do get sucked in. And that's the reason why I'm talking about this right now, because if you are connected to one of these people, even if you do everything right, you could have a person that comes knocking and needs to be bailed out in some sort of way. We all need to be aware of what is going on so you can figure out what you are going to do or going to say if this happens to somebody in your life. I'm going to use that Reddit post to segue to this article. It's titled, Dave Ramsey Caller Says Her Husband Lost Their Entire $500,000 retirement in a scam and borrowed another $250,000 to get out of it. Let's look at some of this article. Here's the rest of the title. So he borrowed $250,000 more, and now at 75, they have 2 jobs each. They are 75 years old. All right, so I'm not going to do this whole article. I'll do as much as I can. A recent caller to the Ramsey Show revealed a heartbreaking story of financial devastation after her husband fell victim to a crypto scam. Mary, a 75-year-old woman from Salt Lake City, told co-hosts Rachel Cruz and Jay Warshaw that the scam not only wiped out their retirement savings, but pushed her husband to borrow hundreds of thousands more in a desperate attempt to recover the losses. About a year and a half ago, my husband got involved with some online investment deal which turned out to be a scam. He gave away all of our retirement, and then he borrowed another about $250,000 more to get out of it. Mary and her husband are both in their 70s and are now working 2 jobs each to stay afloat. Despite the massive setback, she said they've managed to pay off about half of the debt and are continuing to chip away at the rest. They also took out a reverse mortgage to help cover some of the borrowed money. I'm 75, he's 72. I wake up every day worried. Mary called the show mainly out of concern for how this mess might affect their taxes going forward. We paid last year's taxes. We were able to pay our federal taxes, I think, and then we got a refund, a federal refund, which we used to pay our state taxes, but I just keep worrying the other shoe's going to drop. When asked if they were working with a tax professional, Mary said no. Warshaw and Cruz immediately arranged for Mary to receive free help from a Ramsey trusted tax expert and a financial coach. That's nice of them. That's really cool that they offered that tool. Crypto scam preyed on trust. Mary said the entire ordeal began when a man her husband used to work with reached out about a crypto opportunity. Hey, I've got this great thing going on. Do you want to get in on it? And I'll have my girl call you. Which she did, and he started investing, Mary said. The scam quickly escalated, and Mary's husband believed he was paying fees and taxes required to withdraw the investment. But in reality, he was just sending more money to scammers. He borrowed $88,000 from our son. He took personal loans. He ran up charge cards. They reported the fraud to federal authorities, including the FBI and the United States Justice Department, but Mary says she doesn't think they'll be able to recover the money or catch those responsible. In the meantime, Mary and her husband are doing everything they can to stay solvent. She said they bring in about $5,000 a month from Social Security, plus an additional $500 to $1,000 from various part-time jobs. In the winter, when the resorts start opening, we have a job there which pays well, so we'll be making more money, she said. I had a garage sale today. I just got $218 this morning, so all of that goes to paying charge cards and bills. Warshaw praised Mary for her hustle. Listen, Mary, you are a gangster, she said. Your attitude in all of this is stellar. The fact that you're willing to go back to work, you're doing garage sales, you're doing a lot. I'm proud of you. Cruz wrapped up the segment with a warning to other listeners. If something sounds too good to be true, it is. Please, just be boring. Slow and steady wins the race. I guess I had enough time to do the whole article, which is good. So we see all of the work. And, this woman she stuck and stayed in there with her husband who lost thousands upon thousands of dollars. Can you imagine? And he borrowed $88,000 from their son. Can you imagine how you would have reacted in that case? He lost so much money and borrowed almost $100,000 from your child. Some people would walk away from that like, this is too much. But she stuck and stayed, and she grabbed her shovel, and they are digging themselves out. But if you know and understand that these things are going on, maybe you can avoid this type of thing, and maybe you can put out the warning signals and tell others to avoid these types of things and know these types of things to look out for. So please share this, talk to somebody, find that article. Here's the article title. Find this article, post it wherever you have social media, and start having some conversations about this, because I have a feeling how desperate people are these days. This type of thing is going to start happening more and more. Join the conversation, like, comment, and share. So this is titled, Husband Says He Only Just Realized How Much I Do. This title, this post in particular, really resonated with the Burbies that are in my network and overlap to the Reddit community because this was sent a few times. Husband says he only just realized how much I do. And I know that this resonates because we know how much we do. So this was posted in the 2X chromosomes, and we're going to go ahead and see what this is all about. She says, yesterday, a salesperson for Scottish Power came to the door and my husband answered. They complimented the garden and asked if my husband managed it, to which he said, no, my wife does. Then the salesperson asked if he was the person who dealt with the energy bills, to which he said, no, my wife does. The salesperson then joked if his wife manages everything, and my husband said it rubbed him the wrong way. Ironically, he then asked me to help talk to the salesperson, but I gave advice and let him handle it because I've had to deal with salespeople from the same company several times before, and it was his turn. This morning, he said he had been ruminating about it overnight and realized in the process that I do manage everything: water, gas, electricity, internet, council tax, service charge, etc. He said that all he does is manage the car, although saying that I am the one who keeps on top of the parking permit and generally reminds him about the MOT each year, and that he can't even do that right because he forgot about the MOT and had it done 3 weeks late this year. Jay, my husband, said he realizes that it's not a fair division of labor and wants me to hand over some of the life admin tasks to him to manage so they are more equally divided. I was pleased to hear this at first, but the more I think about it, the more pissed off I get. There have been times in the past when I brought this stuff up, but he hasn't agreed with my perspective, and because I'm someone who doubts themselves, I've dropped it. There have been times he has been angry at me for not doing more to help him manage car-related tasks, and I've tried to respond by explaining that I already take on too many tasks and that the car management tasks are his contribution, and he's refused to accept that's the case. There have been times when he's been upset with me that I don't take on enough in our relationship, and I've tried to explain how exhausted I am from work. I am in a more senior role with more pressure than him and earn more, while he often complains about how easy and boring his job is, and that I'm burnt out from having so much responsibility at home too. But he's refused to accept that and just says that's an excuse. And every time I doubt myself and I end up apologizing for it and promising to do better. So he has Darvo'd her, and he might not even be trying to Darvo her, but he has flipped it to where she's the problem. She knows that she's sitting up here doing all of this stuff, but he has made it like you're not doing some things and she's apologizing. This is a manipulation tactic, even if the intent isn't to control or scramble her brain. But this is one of the reasons why she doubts herself. But now she has an outside perspective because somebody else has come in and says, oh, so it sounds like your wife is managing everything. We've been together for 12 years and married for 7, and he's only now just seeing how much I do because of a comment made by a door-to-door salesperson. And all this time I've doubted myself and assumed that I'm the one not pulling their weight because of my own lack of self-esteem and his lack of acknowledgement and gaslighting. WTF. And I still treat him kindly and with love, agreeing to hold his hand through learning how to be an effing adult by actually picking up our household life's admin tasks. What is wrong with me? I want to say all this to him, but I know if I do, it'll make him react in a way that'll make me back down. How do I do this productively and give myself the strength to hold my ground? I've always been terrible at advocating for myself, but for whatever reason, I can easily do it for other people. I just can't believe I've married someone who can't recognize that. And he says he's a feminist. Sorry to rant, but I just needed to get all this out somewhere. So this right here, I've doubted myself, and she says she has her own lack of self-esteem. As she was writing this, I believed, and reading this back, I believe that she's starting to see how much she is capable of. And maybe that exercise of just putting this out there is enough. But this is the reason why I talk about these things consistently, because I know that we juggle a lot. I know that we will be perfectly fine to handle our life's tasks, but are they? The men have been good at delegating and lumping things on top of women, and we pick it up and we run with it and we manage things. I need all of us to get our collective self esteem up a little bit higher to know and understand that we're going to be fine, that she is doing amazing, and to have that confidence and assertiveness to say, I am doing this amazingly, and you need to start doing your part. Now, this husband in particular is saying he's ready to do more. But also, she says down here, she's talking about gaslighting and that she's scared to even have this conversation with him because he's going to have, the way he talks to her is going to make her back down. So I don't know if this is a healthy dynamic to really have this type of conversation, but she needs to get a little bit more confident in herself. Now, the reason why I continue to do these stories day to day and have these conversations is because I want women to have more self-preservation about themselves, know and understand that, yes, you can survive, but also that sometimes the other person is the one that is causing some kind of harm. And, this whole self-esteem issue, I do know and understand that not all of us had parents that poured into us enough to where everybody has self-esteem that's healthy. I do understand that. So that is the reason why, sometimes we do have to be a little bit more gentle with some people as we are trying to get people to believe in themselves and their abilities and all of that. But I think as this woman was writing this down, she's like, I got this. And I want you to know and understand that you got this too. Toots New York City hones in on this part. There have been times when he has been angry at me for not doing more to help manage car-related tasks, and I have tried to respond by explaining that I already take on too many tasks and that car management tasks are his contribution, and he's refused to accept that's the case, saying, I'd want to talk about this. Is he going to be mad at you for not helping him manage his new life administration task? Weaving Weber says, this caught my attention as well. I can't help but think if he already only has one task that he is responsible for and can't even manage to do it correctly without help, offloading other tasks onto him sounds downright exhausting. It may honestly up her workload because she will now have to micromanage him instead of just doing it herself. As soon as I read that he asked her for more responsibility, I just deflated for her. And here's the OP saying, thank you. This is how I feel. Sometimes it just feels easier to take everything on myself instead of worrying about if things will get done or whether I'm going to have to deal with another argument where I'm told I don't do enough because he's got an inflated sense of pride over the things he has taken on. And then Webbing Weaver says, in the most gentle, respectful way I can ever possibly say this, I believe you should get into individual therapy and really reconsider this relationship. I have been in your shoes, and the relief I felt when I got out of that relationship was overwhelming. I like how she started this out. And that's the reason why I was talking about everybody doesn't have the same level of self-esteem. So you have to be aware of that when you talk to people. If you're already doing everything, nothing will change if he left. In fact, if he left, you would likely have significantly more free time and likely more confidence without someone constantly tearing it down. Affirmations in the mirror can do wonders to help reframe any negative inner voice. Sometimes saying affirmations out loud or in the mirror can seem silly, but I highly encourage you to try it out, even if it's just for a week. I also think you should start looking into things that make you happy: crocheting, reading, painting, even playing with toys in your free time. Rediscover who you are and make space for yourself to heal and build that confidence. I wish you absolutely nothing but the best, and OP, and I hope things work out for you. I absolutely love this comment and wanted to end right here because I do know that sometimes people think that brutal honesty and saying this is, just saying stuff in the most mean way possible is a way to trigger someone to do better. But I do believe that this type of comment is gentle and still gives some play-by-play things that she can do. And I think that this is helpful. But y'all go ahead and join the conversation and let me know what you think about it.
Tell me your favorite thing about yourself. Speak! I like that too.
I follow this woman named Abby on my TikTok page, but this is a post that she made over on Facebook. She says men aren't falling behind. They're just no longer benefiting from the unpaid labor of women who made their successes possible. I absolutely love that so many different women are speaking on these things. We may be seeing it in different ways, but we're acknowledging all of the things that women do bring to these relationships. The way I say it is men need to hold their own nuts. They absolutely need to hold their own nuts because many of the things that we do as far as admin, making sure the household runs, and this could be in a romantic sense, this can be in a family sense, this could be at a job. A lot of the things that women do in the background helps these people, it helps them succeed in ways that they don't acknowledge. And if more of us pull back and pour into the people who have poured into us, or even just pour into ourselves more, this is going to make the successes of women skyrocket. But also it's going to help them because then they will learn how to juggle their own and maybe do a little bit better as far as multitasking. Some will sink and then some will swim. We will not know until they are tasked with handling their own things. Let's look at some of these comments. This man named Charles says, it's always been apparent who provided for who. Any casual observer could see the difference between a man that stayed single and one that married. One acquired wealth over time and the other spent everything supporting his wife and family. Same now. This post is complete BS. And to that, Christian says, no, spent everything supporting his wife, LOL. The flip side would be he married her, asked her to stay home, and then didn't support her. You're not a hero for asking your partner to cook and clean and do more for your kids than you do. Like most Americans work a full-time job, dude. And married men have absolutely benefited from their wives. Married men, divorced or currently married, are usually a little better off than single men. Single women, divorced or currently single, are usually a little better off than married women. Stephen says, as she sits in a home built by men with electricity supplied by men, because that is what they always do. They don't acknowledge the things that she's talking about, the foundational things that go into a relationship that helps these men go to work and be able to just focus on working. Julie says, funny because she works full time and also bought that house. James says, huh? Who built it and who makes the electricity? So they can't have the same conversation with us at all. It's always like who is working for you when she is working to pay for those services. Corey says, unless it was you personally and you were not paid for it, you can sit all the way down. Amanda says, God knows my ex fell apart after leaving me and then being kicked out by his girlfriend. I am fine. My life is easier. Michelle says, mine just bounced from woman to woman, now lives with our daughter. Darius says, if you're lonely, you should get a dog. That when I say that they cannot have the same conversation, that's what I mean. She says, my ex fell apart after leaving me and then being kicked out. And then Darius says, if you're lonely, you should get a dog. She did not say that she was lonely. That is not part of the conversation. Reese says, yep, my ex lost his business, job after job, his home, then his life. And then Michael says to that woman, increasingly desperate woman insists, I am fine. So he's calling her desperate. The other person called her lonely. Yeah, okay. And Sarah says, came here for the whining men, was not disappointed. There are so many men in the comments and they're not talking to the prompt, they're not talking to the caption, and they're not talking to anything that the women are actually saying as far as the comments. It's like they're having two separate conversations. They want to be so important in society, but they still refuse to have a conversation about what it makes to make relationships work and the things that women do in relationships that allows them to go to work. Many of them. Anyways, I'm not going to dig into the weeds of the comment section. I just really thought that that was interesting how she said that and how women across the board are saying pull back. Ladies, you have a finite amount of time, energy, and resources. If you take that, the things that you would be giving to a man and put it into yourself, just really imagine how much further you could be along. If you poured into your daughters, if you poured into your children in general, and if you poured into other women, we are going to continue to just go up and up and up. But it takes acknowledging the things that we do. Many times they won't. But we need to acknowledge that we have so much resources, and they know it too. That's the reason why many of them will attach like a parasite to suck our time, energy, and resources, all while downplaying the benefits that women bring to relationships. But I'm going to continue to harp on it so that you can know and understand that you are powerful, you have a ton of resources, and you can achieve so much if you just poured into yourself. Join the conversation. Let me know what you think about all of this. Don't forget to like, comment, and share.
Who auntie and uncle this is?
Ain't that gonna hinder you from obeying your helper? Get rid of it. It's no good. That's why God have to take people out of our... I'm on the line, baby. I'm on the line. What are you doing? No. Y'all excuse my husband. Excuse my husband. He don't know. Lord have mercy. But he's